the most money, and that was New York. That's what we called it, the WWF at the time. So yeah, man, working one night a week doesn't really cut it. If I could have stayed down there for 6, 8, 9 months, who knows what we could have done? A year or two. There's all kinds of stuff we could have done, but you're in business to make the money, and really when you're in the trenches, even when we were in WCW and we were battling, WWF at the time, it wasn't a Monday Night War, but it was a war, and we kind of felt like we were putting on like a better wrestling product. But when you get the call, you knew that the WWE, then F was the show. It was the big show.
I want to ask you, before I let you go, I want to ask you about working with Vince McMahon, and I mean as a wrestler, because you guys together, I mean, as much as we picture you and The Rock, someone can easily make the argument that the story, the relationship that defined your career is you versus Vince McMahon. That is a totally fair assessment, I think, for a fan to make. When you guys worked together, what was it like, him learning to wrestle at that time? How much did you walk him through things? How much did he lean to you? Because that's got to be an interesting relationship. He's the complete and total boss, but he was a novice in the ring, and he had to follow your lead. How did that working relationship go?
Well, because, working with a guy like Vince, who wasn't, the years in the business from a performance standpoint, in-ring talent, he was the guy that knows everything, because from the ground up, from when he started to where he's at now, he was that guy. So those matches are kind of put together in a fashion where, you kind of know what's up. So we're on the same page, pretty much 99% of the time. There might be an ad lib or something put in there, but, you kind of know what's going on. From a mechanic standpoint, Vince is pretty awkward, and, he's jacked up, he's strong. The stuff he does in the ring, everything feels pretty good. He'll sling you. When he's going to throw you, he's going to throw your ass. But he's kind of clumsy. But the thing I love about working with Vince was his character was so over. As a heel, that guy is a natural born performer. He's probably the greatest promoter that the sporting world or sports entertainment, whatever, boxing has ever known. But as a worker, as a performer, he knows how to work a crowd like God dang, I'm thinking about Ricky Morton, because I'm a huge Ricky Morton fan. And, of course, Ricky's the consummate white meat babyface. But what a great worker and what a great feeler of the crowd. Like a Hogan. Hogan's a great worker of the crowd. Vince can read a crowd, and he plays to that crowd, and he just loves to be, as a heel, he would love to be hated so much. And, of course, I was so over as a babyface. It magnified what I did, magnified what he did, and what he did magnified what I did. So just great chemistry, and pretty much always on the same page. And that was the kind of stuff that transcended the wrestling business and turned into water cooler talk. Even the people that didn't watch wrestling started watching wrestling, because this was a story where they could live vicariously through the actions of a guy named Stone Cold Steve Austin, this bald, pissed off guy from South Texas, and his boss has been trying to screw him every which way. And damn near every Monday night, Stone Cold is telling his boss what's up. And there's always that exchange of, hey, okay, what are we doing this time? Is it time to get more heat on Stone Cold, or does he need to get a little bit back on Mr. McMahon? So we rode that lightning boat for, close to 2 years. And I agree with you, that feud, and I've had some great ones, but that one transcended the business. And yes, ultimately, I think it did kind of, I don't know, define or make my career, however you would say it. But I loved feuding with Vince McMahon, and I learned so much from, not just working with him, but I think he learned a lot from me. But just from working for him, I've learned so much about life and everything else. I got a lot of respect for the guy.
Last thing on Vince, do you think that him and Shane, I always made up in my head that Vince and Shane sort of had a chip on their shoulder, the need to prove to you guys, because it's their company, that they were willing to do whatever it took. Is that true? And was it effective? I mean, when you see the bumps Vince took with you, where he goes off the cage flying through the table, or all the things Shane did. You look at the King of the Ring match versus Kurt Angle, maybe one of the toughest, most brutal matches anyone's ever had in this business. I always felt like it was such an honorable thing that Shane and Vince McMahon were going to show you guys, we will do everything you guys do. Is that what they were doing, and was it effective with the talent?
I can't say if that's what they were doing. Only they could. But, I've always said about Vince, he won't ask anybody to do anything that he would not do himself. And man, if it's coming down to trying to entertain a crowd, whether it's at Live House or, the millions of people watching worldwide, man, he's going to go to the end of the world to make sure they get every single penny's worth out of that pay-per-view or off that viewing on that brand new TV they just bought. He's trying to give it to you. Same thing with Shane. He's got the same mentality. And I don't know if they were out to prove a point. I just think they're very, very hungry about the business and very passionate about the business. And it is a love. And it damn near, all the boys, and now the girls, the women too. When I say boys, I mean everybody, the men and the women. Man, I can't explain it sometimes. When I start talking about the business, I get very excited. But, man, when you establish a deep relationship with a crowd, you'll damn near do anything to entertain them. I mean, you're talking about, getting color, heat. You want that crowd to buy in. And I think everybody kind of does it when you get in there because you want to prove yourself. And everybody wants to do as well as they can. But specifically speaking about those guys, I think they did it for the love of the business. It was
We're going to wrap up, Steve. I'm going to let you go. Again, WrestleMania, you can watch tomorrow on ESPN. They're going to show WrestleMania 32 in its entirety, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Last question, Steve. A friend asked me earlier, and I was almost taken aback. It was almost like too much for me to answer. She has zero interest in wrestling, does not get it, has never tried to get it, and asked me, what do you love about it? And I'm almost so in it at this point that I hadn't answered it in a long time. I'm just curious for you. What do you love the most about professional wrestling?
Man, like right now or just like because when I was doing it?
Oh, you broke up a bit, Steve. Sorry. No, like in general, your passion. Like when you think about what you're most passionate about, what is it about wrestling?
Man, to me, it's just taking the crowd on a ride. I mean, because it's truly you're trying to work people. I mean, and this is before everything. Everybody knows the business doesn't work, but you're trying to get people to buy in and to be good enough and to be over enough from a character standpoint within the angle of which you're shooting and the person with which you're trying to work with. There's so many things going on, and you're trying to create the perfect mix of chemistry and storytelling to take the people on a ride that they get so invested in that they're stomping their feet, they're clapping their hands, they're yelling, they're throwing stuff at the ring. It's the adrenaline. It's the love, the passion, and the adrenaline. That's for me.
Hey, Steve, I appreciate you taking the time. You are the coolest name I have in my Rolodex. I appreciate you always, and I hope to see you down the road.
Hey, man, catch everybody down the road, and everybody stay safe out there. Do your social distancing thing. It's a shoot, and, man, we got to work through this. And man, to all you guys over in New York, Peter, y'all be careful over there, man. I know it's a hotbed over there, so it is what it is, but we're all in this together.
Hey, you heard it from Stone Cold. This whole thing is a shoot. The coronavirus is a legitimate shoot. Yeah, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. I'm definitely staying home and being safe. You do the same in LA, and I hope to see you soon. There he is.
Peter.
Make sure you go follow him, Steve Austin BSR on Instagram. Go follow him right now. Follow me, Rosenberg Radio, on Instagram. And without any further ado, we're going to keep this thing moving. After Steve Austin, I got to have another star. You can't just, that's one kind of star, one kind of American hero, one kind of American icon, if you will. But we'll go to a man from South Texas to a beautiful man from Queens.
How do you follow that one, man? Oh, my Lord.
Could you be any more honored to be on the same show with Steve Austin, bro?
I got to be honest with you. I crafted my entire being, after fucking Austin 360.
No, hey, no F-bombs. We're on the big channel today, okay?
Oh, I thought this was still,
no, this is ESPN's
between buddies.
This is ESPN's official Instagram. We're very commercial today.
Oh, sorry.
Man.
I'm very sorry about that.
No, now, do you remember his brief run in ECW?
Of course.
And you were a real ECW fan. That was you were
big time.
Yeah,
that was my main. That was my main. ECW, staying up 2 in the morning watching it on MSG. And then you would go to Elks Lodge in Queens on Queens Boulevard. 13 years old, my mother would drop me off.
I feel like, by the way, whenever I talk to you about wrestling, I feel like a little kid who's like, "Hey, Dad, regale me with the stories of Elks Lodge again," because I love those stories. The fact that you got to go at that time, it was such an iconic moment in wrestling.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Did you know it at the time? You could tell how crazy it was at the time. Like, this is a moment.
Yeah, because me and my boys were the only 13-year-olds there. You know what I mean? Like, it was a little bit, it was more grown, and there was some serious stuff going on, I'm serious, like, they had, I remember one time Al Snow, he brought all the heads out. He brought out all the strippers from Goldfingers, which was a
popular adult establishment.
A popular adult establishment on Queens Boulevard in the late 90s, early 90s, stuff like that, So it was like, they were doing things that people were, smoking a little bit of the what.
Okay, yeah.
And this was at a wrestling event in a battalion hall, like you know what I mean? Like a YMCA type of building.
Now, did you also go, I never asked you something. Did you ever go to big garden shows or big Nassau Coliseum shows as well?
Yeah, I was at 10.
You were at 10?
I was at 10.
You were at the ladder match?
I was. And I was also there for a couple of, like, they used to do the dark shows.
Mm-hmm. House shows.
The house shows where they would just come to the garden. I remember we went to a couple of those. I was actually at the one where it was, Razor and Diesel's last one, and they came out. They all came out and broke. The
famous moment, the moment.
I was there.
The curtain call, as it's
known. The curtain call. I was there.
Wow.
I was there for a lot of crazy stuff.
You really were. You were at the ladder match between HBK and Razor at 10. It also had the beautiful, the incredible match between Brett and Owen.
Of course.
Then you got to see the curtain call at the Garden, which for people who've never heard the story, look it up on YouTube. You can find the stories about it, but it's a legendary moment. And then you got to have, blood splattered on you and strippers sitting on your lap at the Elks Lodge. You did it all.
You had to stand in line early. You'd buy general admission. This was the first couple times. So you would immediately get third row or second row, So it was guaranteed someone was going to jump into the crowd. Sabu, Tajiri, someone of that ilk.
So, first of all, how are you doing? You seem like the kind of guy to me that could fare well during social distancing. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm amazing. I'm amazing during social distancing. It's just upsetting because you can't see the loved ones at this point. And I don't want to risk it,
So is your mom not able to see your kids right now?
No one's able to really see each other. We're all in isolation. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm reading all kinds of 5G stuff. I'm serious,
It's crazy.
And it's real deal. We are an electrical body, and all this stuff is pulling out all types of stuff from us that it's all foreign bodies.
You are someone who can have you have moments when you're rapping in which you paint very vivid pictures that are crazy and hard to understand how you got there. Did your brain ever envision a time this crazy?
No. I mean, you always know that you're not in control. And
by the way, shout out to Alan the Chemist. I see.
Yeah, I just saw that also. Young Alchemist. I miss you.
A man who I will not get a text or DM back from, but he pops up in the chat.
He changed his number. He changed his number.
He always changes his number. So you didn't picture this, though? You didn't picture anything like this?
No, I didn't picture this type. I mean, I grew up here. You understand that at some point with this many people, something is bound to happen. It's just to this capacity where it's crippled the nation and pretty much the world. It's unprecedented, man. It's unprecedented, and you know, we really don't know what the hell's going on. So I don't know what's up. I'm just chilling out for a little bit. I was planning on dropping my album within the next couple months. You know, I don't know if that's the best idea. I don't want to do a digital programming type of thing. At the end of the day, I had a lot of different types of gatherings scheduled.
Was
a
it,
lot of things
yeah.
that contingent on gatherings because I like to do things with people. Like make
I mean,
ice cream, like
yes.
have this, have that, have little art shows, have little parties and listenings. So this is kind of cramping my style, but you know, I don't, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to chill out. Chill out for a second.
Are you making beautiful art?
I'm making art, but my studio is elsewhere from my house, so it's hard to get over there and like without an argument.
Wait, so real quick, you make your visual art in the same place that you make your audio art? Is it all in the same place?
Yeah, it's my think tank. It's my one-stop shop.
I haven't been there yet. It sounds like a glorious place.
It's a great studio. You have to come by. It's in somewhere, and you should come by.
So wait, so do you have any, so if you want to record at home or do art at home, you can just do like a very basic dumbed down version of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm drawing a lot on my iPad, which is good. It's a good digital sketchbook. Also got pen and paper like a caveman, you know. I'm watching a lot of UFC. I'm watching from one all the way.
Oh, you're starting at the beginning?
I mean, I've seen all of them. I had them on DVD back in the day.
So I saw you talking to my buddy Ariel Helwani the other day.
Yeah, shouts out Ariel.
Shouts to Ariel, and obviously that man knows more about it. It'll blind you how much that man knows about UFC. But
He's a combat Rolodex.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely crazy. Who are you most into right now? Who's your favorite UFC combatant at this time?
Well, you know, for me, it's more about the characters in UFC. The matchups are so magical. You know, these men have just worked their entire lives to fight, and you make a weight, you agree upon that weight, you make the weight, and you guys fight, and it's live. It's live theater. It's human art.
Do you believe that Conor...
Listen, I scheduled my entire tour around Khabib Tony to be in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
it's such a bummer.
It's unbelievable to me.
And also with the return of Thug Rose, it was going to be Thug
Rose
and Khabib. It was going to be what a huge day.
Yep. And
here we are.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows where that fight might be? That fight might be in Saudi Arabia. Who knows where they're going to put it?
You think Khabib's the nicest in the world?
I love, you know, Khabib is the nicest at his style. That's what makes everything amazing. Everyone brings a different discipline to the octagon and to the ring. That, you know, you're fighting Tony Ferguson, who dances, you know. It's all about fluidity with him. Like, he'll be spinning and hit you, and it's all about connecting moves and combos, just like a video game with him, where you've seen the last 10